And welcome to the final weekend of the Big Ten softball regular season schedule as the Iowa Hawkeyes playing at home this weekend. What will be in front of a very good crowd here for game number one, but hosting the Illinois Fighting Illini. A very interesting weekend that it is. And on the line here for both of these teams as they come into this weekend finale of the Big Ten schedule, tied for fourth place with 23-17 records. Not just the two teams, Illinois and Iowa. It also includes the Indiana Hoosiers at 23-17. The incentive of this weekend is the chance for four Big Ten teams to make the NCAA tournament and regional play that would begin next weekend. Michigan already a lock because they've won the regular season with a 32-6 record. Minnesota Northwestern presumed to be locks. Both have won 26 games. Minnesota's lost 10, Northwestern 14. And then it falls into the hands of Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana. The three eyes of the Big Ten all tied for fourth with 23-17 records. Illinois and Iowa going to duke it out right here on Bob Pearl Field all weekend long. The Indiana Hoosiers, on the other hand, are in Maryland or at Maryland this weekend for a four-game series, and that won't be an easy series. Maryland 17-23, but has shown signs of life throughout this softball season, up and down as they are at 17-23, but they will give Indiana quite a go. The Fighting Illini come in. They started the season with a 10-2 record, and then it's just been back and forth throughout the softball season when they come in at 23-17. So after a 10-2 start, they go 13-15, whereas the Iowa Hawkeyes, as they come in to this game, they've won 7 of their last 8. They swept Rutgers 2 weekends ago, took 3 of 4 against the Nebraska Cornhuskers last weekend. Prior to that, though, Iowa would lose 3 of 4 against Minnesota, 3 of 4 against Northwestern, and 3 of 4 against Wisconsin. So the difficult schedule kind of hammered on the Hawks for a couple of weekends in a row. They were able to get it turned around at Rutgers, where they had 2 5-inning games and the 18th no-hitter thrown in program history by Allison Ducey. Ducey doing very well in her last 4 starts. She won 2 games last weekend against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. She won the 2 5-inning games against Rutgers, including throwing that no-hitter in game number 4 of that 8-0 win. She will be in the circle here today to square off against the Fighting Illini in game number 1 of this 4-game series. Had a chance to speak with head coach Renee Gillespie moments ago, and here's what she had to say about this weekend. Moving into the final weekend of Big Ten regular season softball play, head coach Renee Gillespie standing by here. And Coach, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks, the incentive of winning to get you into a situation where by the end of this coming weekend, really some good things could be happening.
Oh, absolutely. We put ourselves in a good situation with this weekend with Illinois, and with us both having the same record and both fighting for the same thing, it's going to be a great weekend. Anything that we can do to try to get in that 4 spot and make it tough for the committee to make that decision on Sunday is what our goal is.
So you come into this weekend, you got a lot of young players, but young players with some great experience, gaining valuable experience, and I think really gaining a lot of that confidence that they need, understanding that it's inning by inning, bat by bat, game by game.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this whole team is learning that for the first time. You know, usually you have seniors that have been there and done that and can kind of take the young ones along with them and show them what it looks like and what it feels like to be into this situation where your games that will decide whether you go to regionals or not. But we don't have those seniors. You know, our seniors are in the same situation our freshmen are, so we're all learning this together. And it's a great experience for them together as a team is to learn how to win in this situation, learn how to take these tough games and be able to move on with a possibility of postseason.
In that, psychologically, there has to be a huge difference between knowing that you're there and can play for something beyond and just playing because you're playing out the rest of the season.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You know, I've been in a lot of situations, both at Texas Tech and UCF, where we're young programs and learning this for the very first time. And it's once you get there, you learn to get back. You know how to get back. The path is so much easier. It's the first time getting there is usually the toughest. And that's what we're learning this weekend with these players is understanding you have it in your hands to be able to get there this weekend as long as we take care of business in each game.
Spirited week this week in Hawkeye land?
Absolutely. You got to come out and watch. You know, we got on tonight's game at 7 o'clock. It's going to be on BTN, and then on Sunday again at 3 o'clock. And This is an opportunity for us to kind of show ourselves across the country to realize that the Iowa Hawkeyes are our team to be looking at for the future.
Talk about Illinois coming into this game, Coach. A team similar to you, similar to, well, Indiana. You got Wisconsin, even though they're lower, but, the same kind of talent and some pretty good pitching.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got three teams right now tied in the fourth spot, and like you talk about, even Wisconsin is kind of 4 games out, and anything could happen even for them to be moving up. So it's a battle this weekend for the 4 teams like that are balanced in that situation. Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, all very similar to what we have. Young teams, young players, just working to get a name for themselves. It's just an exciting time to be right now. We didn't have a conference tournament because we wanted this last weekend to be able to be competitive. We wanted every team to be able to play, and that's the chance that we have right now with that opportunity of postseason.
What about Illinois? Talk about them specifically that concerns you.
Yeah, they've got a leadoff that's a tough slapper, tough out, a lot of speed. We're going to have to just keep her off bases. She loves the steal. Then they got 3, 4, and 5 in the lineup is very tough. A couple power hitters in that group. And then they lead off, and number 9 is also a speedy kid. They're trying to get on with her. Kind of the same situation, slapper, puts the ball in play, just runs it out. So our biggest thing is to work hard on keeping them off bases. Ducey's got this game tonight, and we're excited about seeing what she can do against these players, and I think it's going to be a great matchup with her.
Does Sydney Sickles remind you of anybody else in the Big Ten as far as pitching?
Yeah, it's interesting that she actually reminds me of Ducey. I mean, she throws that rise ball. She's got a little curveball that she throws. She just keeps you off balance. Change-up that she throws on occasion, but she is very similar. I mean, an Iowa girl again. It's like if we kept all the Iowa girls that are across the country right now would be sitting in the World Series at this point. So it's neat to see an Iowa girl coming back and getting a chance to be able to go head-to-head with Ducey.
In choosing Allison, experience-wise, because she's a senior, or is it just the feel you have for where your 3 pitchers are at this point of the season?
Yeah, I think she proved herself on Fridays. We've had her starting the last Friday and did a great job, and then being able to keep her fresh for a game on Saturday, and then even possibility of closing on Sunday. It was just a great rotation that we had last week, and we want to kind of stick with it.
All right, Coach, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
That is head coach Renee Gillespie talking about this matchup with the University of Illinois Fighting Illini heading into the final weekend of regular season play in the Big Ten. And the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Illinois Fighting Illini are in a three-way tie for 4th place in the Big Ten, have played their way into this level where these games really make more of a difference than games 2 weekends ago. But they're here. The Hawks are playing against the Fighting Illini. And if they can sweep Illinois, certainly it'll make the NCAA committee's pick to pick Iowa or not pick Iowa would be that much more difficult heading into the NCAA regional. But we can only take it one game at a time. Let's go down to public address announcer Kelly Neff for our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask that you please remove your hats as we honor America and those who protect it. Performing our national anthem is Gigi Bragg.
Outstanding effort for our national anthem here to get things started between Iowa and Illinois in the first game of 4 games in a very critical series for the two teams that are in a 3-way tie for 4th place in the Big Ten. The Indiana Hoosiers are that other third team, and again, we'll keep track of what they're doing with the University of Maryland as Indiana has traveled to the East Coast, and a really good contingent of fans are here, and it actually, folks, has begun to rain here a little bit. We've got some rain showers that are going to move through, light rain as it might be, but I can see the rain falling a little bit. Doesn't look to be heavy. It might be a little while, 10 or 15 minutes, but I think it's going to move on and leave us with some decent weather for the rest of the night. Allison Ducey in the circle. She will be starting here. She started twice against Nebraska last weekend. The Friday game in which she went 7 innings, gave up 1 hit, walked 2, struck out 6, and she pitched again on Sunday. She went 7 innings, another complete game, 4 hits, gave up a run. It was earned, walked 1, and struck out 11. So she's got 102 strikeouts on the season in 93 2/3 innings. Giving up 74 hits, 29 runs, 25 of them are earned, and 23 walks. But she really has come on strong here in her last 4 pitching performances since the Minnesota series, in which she only was able to pitch 2 2-inning performances, giving up 6 total hits. In the Rutgers series, again, she did 2 5-inning games, both complete, 1 a no-hitter. So the Hawks will start right away, and they are going to face Avery Steiner, the junior, on the first pitch. She'll bounce out to Grace Baines, a hard line shot at Baines over at short. And we have 1 gone in the Illinois top of the first inning. I'm going to bring up Kaylee Powell. Powell leads this team in hitting. She's started and played in all 40 games for the Fighting Illini. She is batting .340. Kaylee Powell is batting a .342. with 41 hits and 120 at-bats. Looks at a pitch that's down and in on her. Allison Ducey again in the circle, the senior from Ankeny. Kaylee Powell with 10 doubles, a couple of triples, and she has banged out 4 home runs on the season. This is a good hitting Illinois softball team. They are 3rd in the Big Ten as a team in hitting. And here's an upstairs pitch that Powell will chase and take a half cut at. Again, Illinois batting .280 as a team in the Big Ten, 296 hits, which is 3rd in the Big Ten. And they have 18 home runs hit as a team. Michigan, the leading team in batting at .302 with 313 hits. Here's the 1-1 from Allison Ducey, and it's called strike 2 on that outside corner. Kaylee Powell, the number 8 hitter in the Big Ten, coming into this weekend series. Those 41 hits and a .342 batting average have been consistent throughout the season for the Fighting Illini. Here's the 1-2 from Allison Ducey, a pitch that is upstairs. The Hawks will be facing Sydney Sickles, the junior out of Indianola, Iowa. They have faced her numerous times. Allison Ducey has been in the circle 7 different occasions against Illinois in her career, dating all the way back to 2017. Here's a very high hopper that Arely Bogar will pick up and just beat Kaylee Powell at first base. That was a very high bouncing ball that Arely had to go to her right, or right over the top of the circle that Allison Ducey not able to glove. Arely had to get it right off that short hop and get it over to Kalena Burns at first base. Ashley Hamilton playing 3rd. Grace Baines at short, Arely Bogar at 2nd. Kalena Burns is at 1st. Bella Loya, the number 3 hitter, with 2 outs at the plate. Here's the first pitch to her. As she checks a swing, they're going to peel down to third base, and no, she checks swing without a swing. Bella Loya, a .278 hitter. She was number 2 in hitting a year ago, and 2 years ago. Bella Loya in the pandemic-shortened season, 20 starts and 21 appearances, batted .302 last year. In the 2019 season, so who's on? So is that Powell? Okay. So Kaylee Powell has been awarded first base after an illegal pitch called against Allison Ducey. So now that makes only one out. Runner at first. And this is Bella Loya now in the right-handed batter's box. They talked about Loya in the pandemic-shortened season last year, batting .302. She, in the 2019 season, started and played all 58 games, batted .366 with 63 hits and 172 at-bats. Again, this 2019, 12 doubles and 12 home runs, so she can hit the long ball. Remember going down to Illinois in 2018 in Marla Looper's last season. It was a pretty good matchup between two teams. Illinois won 3 of the 4 games. Iowa had a chance to win 3 of 4 and just made some mistakes in certain fielding instances or couldn't come up with the right hit at the right time. Here's the 0-2 that's just off the plate on the outside to Bella Loya. Started 20 of 21 games last year, either behind the plate or as the designated hitter will be behind the plate here today, catching Sydney Sickles. Here's the 1-2 from Allison Ducey. And it's a pitch that's upstairs. So it evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kaylee Powell at first. After being awarded first base on an illegal pitch by Allison Ducey. Here is the 2-2 to Loya. She hits it out to left field to Riley Sheehy, right at her. Sheehy began to run back and noticed that it was right at her, so she stops, gloves it, and that's out number 2 in the Illinois top of the first inning. Delaney Rummel, sophomore third baseman, now steps to the right-handed batter's box. Delaney, the number 4 hitter, sophomore, .325, 40 hits and 123 at-bats. Here's the first pitch from Allison Ducey, one that's off the fist. Kalena Burns right down the first base line, about a third of the way, makes the catch, and that will end Illinois in the top of the first inning. They get a runner on due to an illegal pitch, but can't move her and do not score. We head into the bottom of the first inning. It'll be Brody Klosterman, Riley Sheehy, and Denali Lecker when play resumes, and the Hawks come to the plate. I do want to take the time to pass along my condolences and those of the University of Iowa to the family of Jerry Burns, who passed away earlier this week at the age of 94. Jerry Burns was a longtime football coach here at the University of Iowa, being an assistant for Forrest Evashevsky from 1954 to 1960, and then taking over the head coaching duties when Forrest Evashevsky became the athletic director in 1960. So Burns was the head coach from 1961 to 1965. He left the Hawkeyes after the 65 season and went to coach with the Green Bay Packers in the falls of 66 and 67. Those were the 2 years that Green Bay won the first 2 Super Bowls. He was the defensive back coaches then. Then he went on to the Minnesota Vikings for 24 seasons, 18 as the offensive coordinator, and he was the head coach for 6 years from 1986 to 1991 when he retired. Jerry Burns passed away at the age of 94 earlier this week, and our condolences go out to his wife, Marilyn, and the 5 Burns kids. We head into the bottom of the first inning. It'll be Briley Klosterman. Klosterman a week ago was the co-Big Ten Player of the Week, and in the Nebraska series, she's still come up with 4 hits in 10 at-bats. She also had 5 RBIs. She had a triple during the series, and she walked a couple of times. She looks at a pitch that's down and in on her. Sydney Sickles in the circle for the Fighting Illini, the junior out of Indianola, with a 14-5 record. 26 appearances. This is her 21st start. She has 13 complete games. Here is the 1-0 that's up and away. So 2 balls and no strikes on the freshman Briley Klosterman. Sydney Sickles, 128 innings pitched. She's given up 95 hits, 53 runs, 40 of them earned. She has a 2.19 ERA, and she's the 11th best pitcher in the Big Ten. Here's one that's a fair ball right down the first base line over top of first base into right field, and Bradley Klosterman starts off the Hawks bottom of the first inning with a single, and she extends her hitting streak now to 3 games. She had an 8-game hitting streak going earlier this season. back in the second game of the Minnesota series all the way through the Rutgers series. So it brings up Riley Sheehy with a runner on and nobody out. Sheehy coming in with a 274 average. Here's the first pitch to her that's called strike one. 31 hits in 113 at-bats. 3 doubles, a triple. No home runs on the season, but she certainly will put the ball in play. She's got teammate and freshman Bradley Klosterman at first base. And an 0-1 count on her. Here's the pitch from Sickles, and it's a bunt between Sickles and the third baseman, Delaney Rummel. Rummel able to pick it up and throw her out on the sacrifice bunt. It does move Bradley Klosterman to second base, and it brings up Denali Lecker. Lecker, the designated player today, batting third in the lineup, has hit safely in 18 of the 35 games she's played in. Here's one that's dribbled right down the third base line to Rummel. Now they've got Bradley Klosterman in a rundown. They throw it, it hits her in the helmet and bounces out of play. And she will be awarded third base. She got caught in the middle of a rundown as Rummel throw it right back to Avery Steiner at second base. And as Briley headed to third, now she's going to be rewarded home because apparently she was on the way to third base. So her momentum was taking her to third base, and so she not only was given that base, but as well home plate, and that will move Denali Lecker on to second. So Denali Lecker on a fielder's choice. Klosterman will score. After the ball hit her in the helmet and it bounced out of play, the umpires now are conferring and talking to Tyra Perry, the head coach who's in her 6th season as the head coach of the Fighting Illini, the 20th season overall as a Division I head coach. She's had some pretty powerful teams. Now she's out there in the circle talking with that entire Illinois 9 defense. In 5 seasons at Illinois, she has proceeded to take them to more than 30 wins per season. So she's done very well with the Fighting Illini. And quickly the Hawks with a 1-0 lead. Grace Baines moved up to the number 4 spot in the lineup with Denali Lecker at second base. Here's one that Grace will take a cut at and miss. Grace, a 196 hitter with 22 hits and 112 at-bats, 5 doubles, and a couple of home runs. Those home runs came in back-to-back games. Here is the 0-1 that's now no balls and 2 strikes as she lets the strike go by. Hit a 2-run home run in the 4th game of the Minnesota series. And she turned right around in the first game at Rutgers with a solo home run. Here is the 0-2 to her that's upstairs. She's hit safely in 21 games out of the 40 she's played. Only 1 multi-hit game. She's hit safely, though, in 8 of the last 11 games. So this is an Iowa softball team that's getting hot at the right time at the plate. They scored those 34 runs at Rutgers on 35 hits, certainly propelling them. Again, they were coming out of 3 very difficult weekend series prior to Northwestern Minnesota, or Minnesota Northwestern and Wisconsin. Here's the 2-2 to Grace Baines, and it's once hit off the fist, and it will go foul. Kaylee Powell doing a nice job of trying to glove it, but it's just outside of the first base line. So Denali Lecker will head back to second base. Baines back to the right-handed batter's box with a 2-2 count on her. Baines early in the season had a 7-game hitting streak going. Had hit safely in 8 of 9 from the second game of Penn State all the way through the Purdue series. Here's the 2-2 that's now outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Sydney Sickles again in the circle for Illinois. She'll pitch a lot this weekend. She's already thrown many innings against the Iowa Hawkeyes in her career. Again, just a junior. Here is the 3-2 to Baines. Called strike 3. Grace probably looked at it maybe as a pitch that's down and away, but the home plate umpire did not hesitate And so Sydney Sickles with her first strikeout of this game and the 146th of the season. Again, Sydney, the 11th best pitcher in the Big Ten Conference. Alex Storako of Michigan and Megan Bobine of Michigan, the top two pitchers. Ducey at number 6, Lauren Shaw number 8, Sarah Lehman at number 18. Here's the 0-1 to Kalena Burns now in the ballgame. It gets away from the catcher Bella Loya, and that will move Denali Lecker onto third on the pass ball. Kalena Burns, sophomore out of Corona, California, batting .250, 23 hits, 92 at bats. Here is the 1-1 and a pitch on the outside corner. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of stretched strike zone here from pitch to pitch, maybe batter to batter. So Kalena quickly down on the count now at a ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs. Iowa leads it 1-0. Denali Lecker at third base. Here is the 1-2 to Kalena. She swings and misses. And a strikeout will end the Hawks here in the bottom of the first inning. But they do get a run. Controversially as it may be, Brodie Klosterman scored after being caught in a rundown, and then the throw from the second baseman hit her in the helmet as she was going towards second base, and it bounced off the top of her helmet and out of play down the third base line. And because of her intention of going to third, not only does she get to third, but she will be able to go be awarded home as well. 1-0 the lead for the Hawks as we are through 1 inning of play. Illinois comes to the bat. It'll be Jalen Vickery when play resumes. So Allison Ducey, after allowing a runner due to an illegal pitch back in the top of the first inning, stepping back and into the circle. Allison kind of getting into a groove at this point. Her ERA has dropped since the Rutgers series. She's pitched 24 innings. That would be 4 games. She's given up 8 hits, 2 runs only, 2 earned runs. She's walked 4 and 28 strikeouts. 4-game winning streak for her. Her ERA went from 2.31 and is now at 1.87. So she's getting in the groove at the right time and facing Jalen Vickery. The first pitch to the left-handed hitting Vickery is a swing and a miss. Vickery, a sophomore, batting .299, 32 hits, 107 at bats. She with 5 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 home runs. And down on the count at no balls and 1 strike against the senior, Allison Ducey. Here's the pitch, 0-1. It's upstairs at 1 ball and 1 strike. Illinois in the season with 18 home runs, 2 with 4. That's Kaylee Powell, the leadoff hitter. 3 actually with 4. Delaney Rummel has 4. And Bella Loya with 4. Here's the 1-1 that is ripped down the first base line and foul. So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on the left-handed hitting Vickery. Jalen Vickery, a redshirt freshman from Kankakee, Illinois. Playing in the center field in today's first game. First of a 4-game series. Here is the 1-2 that's up and in. Two balls and 2 strikes on Jalen Vickery. Turns the bunt, pulls the bat back, and a pitch that's called strike 3 right on that outside corner. And that's the first strikeout of the game for Allison Ducey. First out of the top of the second inning for Deuce. That is the 103rd strikeout of the season, and her career now up to 724. Had 11 strikeouts last weekend in the Sunday game against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Struck out 11. That was the 4th time this season with double-digit strikeouts. 13 against Purdue in game 1. Against Maryland, 10 strikeouts. And against Penn State in the second game of that 2-game series with 11 strikeouts. Here's one that's hit right to Ashley Hamilton. She gloves it and fires it across the diamond. Katie Wingerter is the second out of the inning. Wingerter was a .232 hitter. Senior. Brings up Kelly Riono, sophomore left fielder. Riono at .272 at 28 hits, 103 at bats. 7 doubles, a triple, and 1 home run. She has scored 21 runs. Here's the first pitch to her from Allison Ducey, a pitch that is called strike 1 on the outside corner. Allison able to hit those spots nicely so far. Riley Sheehy in left field, Brody Klosterman in center, Nia Carter is in right field. It's really been the consistent lineup for head coach Renee Gillespie the last half a dozen to 9 games. Here's a swing by Riono, and she fouls it into the ground at the batter's box. It's foul, so she's down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes. Allison Ducey went over the 700 strikeout mark in her career back in the no-hitter she threw against Rutgers 2 weekends ago. Here's the 0-2, a pitch that is fouled back behind the backstop. She continues to climb the Iowa leaderboard, 9th in career pitching appearances with 131. Britt Weil, if you remember Brittany, who pitched for Gail Blevins back from 2006-2009, has 183 career pitching appearances. Here's the 0-2 again, a pitch that's a 2-hopper, and again it's Ashley Hamilton, the lanky Hamilton, just in front of Grace Baines, pitching across the diamond, and that ends Illinois in the top of the second inning, 3 up, 3 down. Iowa leads this game 1-0 heading into the bottom of the second inning. The Hawks will send Nia Carter, Ashley Hamilton, and Marissa Peak to the plate when play resumes. Okay, but Denali got on a fielder's choice, right? That's what you're talking about? Okay, that would be an E4 then? Okay.
On October 1st and 2nd, Iowa City Pride will host the 50th Annual Pride Festival. Pride is a true community celebration.
Well, the Big Ten Track and Field Outdoor Championships have started today. The heptathlon and decathlon events. The next half inning, I will give you the results that have come through so far. Iowa doing very well. Again, the men, they won it 2 years ago in 2019. Remember, last year we didn't have a Big Ten Conference track and field tournament, track meet that is. But the year that Iowa hosted in 2019, the Iowa men won it. The Iowa women were third. Well, the indoor track and field championships this year, the Iowa men also won it, and the Iowa women finished third in that. So we'll see if the Iowa men can repeat that feat throughout this weekend. I'll have nothing more today. I'll give you the results of what's going on in the heptathlon, decathlon, and then tomorrow's doubleheader, I'll be able to get you more of the results of day 1. But day 2 will have a majority of the events going on. Here's Nia Carter looking at a pitch that's down and away from her. Nia Carter, batting in the number 6 spot, has been kind of fluctuating between 6, 7, 8, and 9. A 279 hitter, 36 hits, 129 at bats. Ahead in the count against Sydney Sickles at 1-0. Here's the 1-0 that she'll slap foul down the left field line and out of play. Nia Carter kind of has resumed her hitting style. She's hit safely in 6 of the last 7 games on a very short 2-game hitting streak coming in to the series. Here's the 1-1 that she'll foul into the backstop. Had a single against Nebraska, an RBI single, albeit in game number 4 last weekend, but in game 3 she was 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored. 22 games that she has hit safely on. Here's one that she'll hit right back to Sydney Sickles and on to first base to Kaylee Powell, and that will end Nia Carter in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And the senior Ashley Hamilton. Hamilton's been up and down this year. She started getting some playing time and then just wasn't performing up to par, and then all of a sudden last weekend against Nebraska, she had hits in each of those games, 2 doubles. Here, tell you more about it. Here's the first pitch to her that's called strike 1. Started at third base on Saturday and the doubleheader on Sunday. Had singles in each of those games, or hits in each of those games, and 2 of the 3 were doubles. Ashley looks at the 0-1 now, no balls and 2 strikes. Hamilton hitting 175, 7 hits, 40 at bats. And she's got a couple of doubles, both of them hit last weekend against Nebraska. Series in which Iowa won 3 of 4 games. Here is the 0-2 that she swings at and misses. And that is the 3rd strikeout for Sydney Sickles. And it's the 2nd out of the inning for the Hawks here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Sickles threw the 14th no-hitter in program history against Penn State back on the 13th of March. And she also pitched in another game against Penn State, throwing a complete game 1 hitter. Here is one that's hit out to right field by Marissa Peak on the first pitch. And the opposite field out to the right fielder, Gabby Robles, will end the Hawks in the bottom of the 2nd inning. We're through 2. Iowa continues to lead this game by the score of 1-0. When we return, it's Lakin Wagoner and Gabby Robles, the 8-9 hitters, and then it's top of the order with Avery Steinery as we get to the top of the 3rd inning. So in the women's heptathlon events, the ones that I do have for you that's still going on in the 100 hurdles, Jenny Kimbrough 3rd, Tiana Tobias was 4th. In the high jump, Delissa Huggins won it. Jenny Kimbrough was 6th. In the shot put, Delissa Huggins won it as well. Jenny Kimbrough was 9th. In the 200 meters, Tiana Tobias was 2nd. Jenny Kimbrough was 3rd. So point totals through the first few events. We've got another, the heptathlon. Tiana Tobias in 3rd place with 3,338 points. And Delissa Huggins in 4th with 3,322. I'm sorry, I meant Jenny Kimbrough in 3rd place with 3,338 points. And Delissa Huggins in 4th with 3,322 points. On the men's side, in the 100-meter dash, Will Daniels was 2nd, Austin West 3rd, Peyton Hawk was 4th. In the long jump, Will Daniels won it, Austin West 2nd, Peyton Hawk 5th. In the shot put, Will Daniels was 3rd, Austin West 4th, Peyton Hawk was 5th. And in the high jump, Will Daniels won it. So Daniels has won 2 of the events. Austin West finished 9th, and Peyton Hawk did not have a result in the high jump. In the 400-meter dash, Austin West finished 2nd, and Will Daniels was 10th. Overall, though, Will Daniels leads the men's decathlon with 4,344 points. Austin West is in 2nd with 4,208 points. Good way to get the Iowa Hawkeye men's track and field team off to a start at the Big Ten Conference Outdoor Tournament. Track meet, excuse me. Lakin Wagoner, left-handed designated player, the senior, hitting 167, working against Aldous Adusi and about on the count at no balls and 1 strike, and looks at strike 2 on the outside corner. Adusi able to spot those pitches. Wagoner with 5 hits and 30 at-bats. She just starting in her 12th game and appearing in only the 22nd game. Here's the 0-2 from Allison Ducey, one that is upstairs. Wagoner looked like she wanted to try to slap it, pulled the bat back, seeing that it was a high pitch. So she'll remain in the batter's box with a 1-2 count. Wagoner, a graduate student from Havana, Illinois. Here is the 1-2 that's outside, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. On deck is Gabby Robles, the number 9 hitter. 2-2 on Wagner. Here's the pitch that's fouled off the netting down the third base line, caught out of the air by Ashley Hamilton. So the count remains the same at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the third, Iowa leads this game 1-0, scoring in the bottom of the first inning is Brodie Klosterman. Caught in a rundown, throw hit her in the top of the helmet, bounced out of play, and she was not only awarded third, but home as well. Here's one that's bounced right to Ashley Hamilton at third base. Ashley fielding things nicely. It's the third put out for her, and it's 1 out in the top of the third inning. Gabby Robles, the sophomore right fielder, 219 hitter, 14 hits and 64 at-bats. A couple of doubles are her extra base hits, the number 9 hitter. Here's the first offering from Allison Ducey, one that's lifted up into the air. Grace Baines kind of racing out to left field, but Riley Sheehy playing shallow in left makes the catch, and it's 2 gone in Illinois' top of the third. Avery Steiner back in the left-handed batter's box. She grounded out to Grace Baines in her first at-bat. Steiner threw heading into the Northwestern Series back on April 30th. Here's the first pitch to her that's called strike 1. Was second in the Big Ten with hits with 42. Again, that back heading into the Northwestern Series back on the 30th of April. She had 6 hits in that weekend. Here's the 0-1 to Steiner, one that she's jammed on, and she'll lift it just over the top of third base where Grace Baines is drifting over to her right, catches it heading out into shallow left field, and that will end the Fighting Illini in the top of the third inning. 3 up, 3 down. The Hawks coming to the plate. In the bottom of the third inning, it'll be Arilee Bogard, the senior from Trophy Club, Texas, followed by Brodie Klosterman and Riley Sheehy. When play continues, it's Iowa 1 and Illinois 0. Well, the Iowa Hawkeye baseball team hosting Illinois this weekend. The first game of the series is going on as I speak to you, and it is 1-1 now in the bottom of the 5th inning. Iowa had a lead of 1-0 in the third. It's now 1-1 in the bottom of the 5th. The Hawkeyes are in 4th place, and in the thick of the Big Ten race, only 3 games out of first place. Indiana is in that first place spot. Iowa does have a chance at an NCAA regional play, but they've still got this weekend of football or baseball against Illinois. Then they go to Northwestern and go to Michigan State, so there's still plenty of season to play for this Iowa baseball team, but at this point doing very well. I think they've won 17 of their last 23 games. They are 21-14 currently coming into this series with the Fighting Illini. They're playing up at Dwayne Banks Field as we speak. Sydney Sickles in the circle. The junior out of Indianola will face Arilee Bogard. Here's the first offering to Arilee. Arilee with 1 hit in the Nebraska series. Started at second base in the first 2 games. And the game on Sunday. Here is the 1-0 to her that she'll lift out to left field. It will just get foul and out of the reach of Kelly Riono in foul territory, so Arilee Bogard will come back to the batter's box with a 1-1 count on her. She's hit in 4 of the last 9 games, and she's had a hit in 10 total games this season. She didn't play in the first weekend when the Hawks went to Florida, so she missed those first 6 games. Here's the 1-1 to her that's upstairs, nearly hits her. She was able to get out of the way. And then she headed down to Florida with the team for their second weekend series against Penn State and the Maryland Terrapins. She got 1 hit in those 6 games. So she was kind of on a Slow roll. Here's one that she hits out to right center field. It's going to get past the center fielder, bounces off the wall around first base, and sliding into second base with a double is the senior Ariely Bogar. Got a nice pitch to hit up and in on her. She got around on it, and she smacks the double out into right center field between Gabby Robles and Jalen Vickery. It bounced off the wall. Vickery played it nicely off the wall, got it back into second base, but Ariely Bogar sliding into second base and giving the Hawks a chance to add to their run total. Ariely, a 164 hitter. That is her second double of the season. And the 15th of her career. She winds down her career here at the University of Iowa. Doesn't want it to end this weekend. She'd like to see it extend into next weekend too. As we'll talk more about that. And you got some of the fans now with some props that's getting the other fans sitting on their thumbs to get into a chant. And let's go Hawks. Here's the 1-0 to Briley Klosterman. Klosterman singled in her very first at-bat. Continued her three-game hitting streak. Makes it a three-game hitting streak. Has teammate Ariely Bogar at second base. Nobody out. Here is the 1-1 that is upstairs. So it's 2 balls and 1 strike on Briley Klosterman. Back in 2019, Sickles pitched in all 3 of the games that were played between Iowa and Illinois. Here's one that's hit sharply to second base, and making a nice play out there is Avery Steiner. That will end Briley Klosterman, her at bat, but it does move Ariely Bogar to third base and just 1 out. Riley Sheehy will step into the left-handed batter's box. Sacrificed in her last at-bat. Don't be surprised if we see something here of the same nature, especially with Ariely Bogar at third base. Sheehy very good with the bunts. She can sacrifice very well. Illinois is down at first base, about 3 steps down and 2 in, anticipating the bunt coming from Riley Sheehy. 1 out in Iowa's bottom of the third. The Hawks lead it 1-0. Ariely Bogar at third base after doubling. She moved to third on the ground out by Briley Klosterman. There's 1 out. Here's the 1-0 from Sickles, one that's jams Riley Sheehy, and she'll foul it back into the press box. So that'll even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Sheehy has hit safely in 22 games of the 41 that she has have played, including tonight. 31 hits, 113 at-bats coming into the game. Here is the 1-1. That's just off the plate on the outside, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike to the junior from Newtown, Pennsylvania. Cloudy night, very overcast, but very comfortable. Winds out of the south. The flags are moving, so it's a little bit brisk, but it's pleasant. Here's the 2-1 from Sydney Sickles, a pitch that Sheehy will lift out to center field, and it'll drive the center fielder back off the wall. It'll score Ariely Bogar. Around second base, racing to third is Riley Sheehy. What a shot that was. Jalen Vickery was trying to play it, got to the warning track and realized it was over her head, and it bounced off just short of the top of the wall and bounced back into center field. And by that time, Riley Sheehy's already around second base and headed for third. So she's credited with a third. It is an RBI triple for Riley Sheehy, and the Hawks lead this game 2-0. She got every bit of that pitch, got the fat part of the bat on it, and drove Vickery back to the wall. Had her spinning a little bit out there in center field at the warning track. And then she realized she couldn't play it. It hit near the top of the wall and bounced back into center field, where the right fielder, Gabby Robles, had to come over and rifle it back into the infield. But not before Riley Sheehy was getting to third base with the triple, which is the second triple of her season. Last year, she also had 1 triple. Here is Denali Lecker at the plate. Denali Freshman of the week in the Big Ten this week for her series last weekend against the Nebraska Cornhuskers, when she went 4 for 11. She had a couple of doubles. She had 3 RBIs in the series. Here's one that she'll lift out to left field. It'll push the left fielder back, Kelly Riono, but Riley Sheehy's going to score from third. It was deep enough out to left field that the speedy Sheehy wasn't going to get caught on the throw. And so Denali Lecker with a fly out to left, scoring Riley Sheehy from third base. And now it's Grace Baines at the plate, the freshman from Kansas City, Kansas. Baines struck out in her first at-bat. Here's one that she'll lift just over second base. Will it fall? It will not. The right fielder able to get there quickly. Gabby Robles able to quickly move in and make the catch, but Iowa adds to its 1-0 lead with 2 runs to make it 3-0 heading into the top of the 4th inning. And Bella Loya, the number 3 hitter in the lineup for the Fighting Illini, will come to the plate when play resumes. So again, we've got a game here tonight. Tonight's game on the Big Ten Network. If you're interested in watching and listening to my call of this game, tomorrow is a doubleheader. It'll start at 1 o'clock, the first game at 1, the second game at approximately 3:30 or 1/2 hour after game number 1. And then Sunday's game is also televised by the Big Ten Network, and they pushed the start time back on Sunday's game to 3 o'clock. The Fighting Illini and the Iowa Hawkeyes tied for 4th place in the Big Ten in a 3-way tie. Indiana, the other team that is involved in that. With 23-17 records, all are chasing that coveted chance to get into the NCAA Regional, which would begin next weekend. Sunday night will be the announcement of the teams that do get into the NCAA Regional. Fortunately for this Iowa Hawkeye softball team, they've got a head coach who's been there numerous times, so she's got them playing low-key, 1 game at a time, 1 at-bat at a time. The 4 games will come by rather quickly, but they got to go out and play, leading at 3-0 heading into the top of the 4th inning. Here's Allison Ducey with the first pitch to Kaylee Powell. Powell, 342 hitting, coming in to the game. The number 8 hitter in the Big Ten. 41 hits, 121 at-bats. She got on an illegal pitch in her first at-bat. Here's one that she'll just off the end of the bat to Arely Bogar. Heading towards second base. Arely makes the throw out to Kalena Burns. It's 1 out, and it brings up Bella Loya. Loya flew out to Riley Sheehy in her first at-bat. Loya, a senior, batting .278, 35 hits and 126 at-bats. Second in hitting a year ago in the pandemic-shortened season at .302, and second in the 2019 season at .366. Here's one that she hits out in the left center field. It's got Klosterman and Sheehy on the run. Hits at the bottom of the wall and the warning track. Sheehy plays it nicely off the carom, gets it back in quickly to Arely Bogar. Had a chance to make a play on her, but Bella Loya quick enough to get to second base just ahead of the tag. So she's on second base with a double. And for Loya, that is her 9th double of the season, standing on second base with 1 out. And it brings up teammate Delaney Rummel, the number 4 hitter, who popped up to Kalena Burns at first base in her first at-bat. Here's the first pitch from Allison Ducey, one that is grounded to Arely Bogar. Bogar to Kalena Burns, so quickly 2 gone in the Illini top of the 4th inning, but they do move Bella Loya on to third base. Jalen Vickery, the sophomore center fielder, coming to the plate, struck out in her first at-bat, the left-hander. Vickery, a .299 hitter. 32 hits, 108 at-bats. After the first strikeout, she has 5 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 home runs, so capable of hitting the long ball. Here's one that she'll lift off the fist over the top of Ariely Bogar into right center field. Quickly there is Nia Carter to retrieve it, but the single will score Bella Loya, and that's 2 hits here in the Illini's top of the 4th inning, resulting in a run, which makes it 3-1. Katie Wingerter to the plate, the number 6 hitter, the shortstop, 232 hitter. Grounded out to Ashley Hamilton in her first at-bat. 2 gone. Here's the first pitch that's fouled, and on the move was Jalen Vickery. Vickery on the season has stolen 10 bases in 13 attempts. She's running against a pretty good catcher in Marissa Peak. Peak on the season has thrown out 8 people attempting to steal a base. This time, Vickery not on the move. The Hawks in that category tied for 10th in the country with 17 runners caught stealing. Lindy Milkowski has caught 7 of them. Marissa Peak with 8. So the tough catchers to run on. Here's one that is check swing down the first base line, and it just kind of was hanging in the air. Kalena Burns to her left, catching it just as it gets into foul territory, and that will end the Illini. Top of the 4th inning. They get a run on a couple of hits, leave a runner at first. It's now 3-1, Iowa heading into the bottom of the 4th inning. When the Hawks resume play, it'll be Kalena Burns, Nia Carter, and Ashley Hamilton. Want to take the time to welcome and congratulate new University of Iowa President Dr. Barbara J. Wilson, a unanimous selection of the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, a couple of weeks ago. Her duties will begin on the 15th of July. She'll be replacing the retiring Bruce Harold as the president of the University of Iowa. Dr. Barbara Wilson becomes the 22nd president. She comes from the University of Illinois system, where she was the executive VP and vice president for academic affairs since 2016. She joined the 3 main campuses of the University of Illinois in 2000 and was promoted to various faculty roles before becoming the executive vice president and vice president for academic affairs. Prior to Illinois, she spent 3 years as a professor at the University of Louisville. She was a faculty member at the University of California, Santa Barbara for a dozen years, and is from Appleton, Wisconsin. So very familiar with the Midwest. She's a graduate of the University of Wisconsin in Madison. So congratulations to new University of Iowa President Dr. Barbara J. Wilson. Here's Kalena Burns as she lines one right back to the circle and Sydney Sickles. So 1 pitch and 1 line out. And that's 1 gone. Nia Carter now will step to the batter's box, a left-handed batter's box. Nia bounced out to Sickles in her first at-bat. Carter kind of get back into the swing of things from the plate. 279 hitter coming in, 36 hits, 129 at-bats. Here's the first pitch to her that's down and away. Again, she bounced out to Sydney Sickles in her first at-bat. Has hit safely in 6 of her last 7 games. The only game was the second game against Nebraska. Here's one that she looks at the bunt, pulls the bat back, and it crosses the plate for a strike. So 1 ball and 1 strike. On the left-handed hitting, Nia Carter, the sophomore from Rancho Cucamonga, California. Really starting to hit the ball nicely, see it nicely. Here's the 1-1 that's down and away by Sydney Sickles. Nia has hit safely in 22 games out of the 41 that she's played. Has 11 multi-hit games, 2 3-hit games, and 9 2-hit games. She came out of last year in the pandemic shortened season. Here's the 2-1-2 that she hits out into right center field, and she continues the hot streak. Line drive into right center field, and the 1-out single by Nia Carter brings up Ashley Hamilton. So Nia Carter now extends her 2-game hitting streak to a 3-game hitting streak. And it brings up the senior, Ashley Hamilton, out of Cedar Rapids, prepping at Kennedy High School. Three of 8 in the series against Nebraska last weekend. 2 of them were doubles. Here she turns, squares the bunt. Nice bunt by Ashley over to third base. And Delaney Rummel picks it up and on to first to get Ashley Hamilton at first on the sacrifice bunt. It does move Nia Carter to second and brings up Marissa Peak. Peak in her first at-bat flew out to right field. Batting at .229 coming into the game. The first pitch is out and away. .229 hitter, 22 hits and 96 at-bats, 22 and 97 at-bats. She's got 6 doubles and 3 home runs. Her last double was a 2 RBI double in the 4th game at Rutgers 2 weekends ago. Here's the 1-0 that now is 1 ball and 1 strike. Her last long ball also against Rutgers, that in game 1, a 3-run home run. She hit a home run against Indiana and one against Purdue. The one against Purdue helped extend that 12-inning game. That was in the top of the 7th. Here's one that's popped up to third base. And Delaney Rummel will make the catch, and that will end the Hawks in this bottom of the 4th. Put a runner on the single by Nia Carter. Move her to second. Can't move her any further. And we'll go into the top of the 5th inning, and Iowa continues to lead the Fighting Illini by the score of 3-1. It'll be the number 7, 8, and 9 hitters for Illinois when play resumes. Other things going on around the University of Iowa. Of course, the football team is making tickets available. They're looking to go to 100% attendance this fall as we move our way through and outside of the pandemic. You can purchase your tickets online at HawkeyeSports.com. Go to football, go to buying tickets, purchase your tickets. Get out and watch this Iowa Hawkeye football team. It ought to be pretty good again this year. Great, that's hard to say. But they'll certainly be fundamentally sound under Kirk Ferentz and that coaching staff and the way that they play this football game. They'll be okay. Stepping into the batter's box as the number 7 hitter is the left fielder Kelly Riono. She grounded out to Ashley Hamilton in her first at-bat, facing Allison Ducey, the senior. Riono, a .272 hitter, 28 hits, 104 at-bats. She's hit 7 doubles, a triple, and a home run. Illinois as a team has hit 60 doubles coming into the series. They have one here tonight off of Allison Ducey. And here's a check swing by Riono. Bellaloya in their last at-bat started with a double, and she would score on the RBI single by Jalen Vickery. 3-1, we're in the top of the 5th inning. Evening baseball here at the University of Iowa. Bob Pearl Field. Such an immaculate look here at Bob Pearl. The grounds crew does just such an excellent job of working the outfield and that grass. And they've got all the seniors' numbers now painted just in the semicircle around the infield, but in the grass. And then, of course, the Hawkeye logo, Tiger Hawk logo out in center field. Here's the 0-2. To Riono, and she doesn't chase a bad pitch against Allison Ducey. Ducey, as I'd mentioned, really has picked up her pitching game since the Rutgers series when she threw 2 5-inning games, one of them a 1-hit game and the other a no-hit game. Ahead in the count here against Riono at 1-2. Here's the 1-2 that Riono will get around and foul it back into the netting of the backstop. Teams are batting .220 against Allison Ducey. Here's the 1-2 again to Riono, a pitch that she'll hit out to left field. It's fair. One hopper right to Riley Sheehy. She does such an excellent job of her lateral movement, reading it off the bat and getting to it right away, but it does put another runner on for Illinois. This is the first of the top of the fifth inning. That's the third hit off of Allison Ducey tonight. Brings up Lakin Wagoner. Wagoner, the number 8 hitter, grounded out to Ashley Hamilton at third base in her first at-bat. The number 8 hitter hitting at 167, 5 hits in 31 at-bats. She does have one double to her credit. Here's the first pitch to her that she takes a stab at and misses. Kalena Burns racing down the first base line, trying to judge where that ball was going to come off the bat on the ground. Ashley Hamilton down about 3 steps at third and in 2, and Kalena Burns is down 3 or 4. They're inching their way down as soon as that pitch is headed towards Marissa Peak. They're on their way down the baselines. Here's the 0-1, and it's bunted up into the air just out of the reach of Ashley Hamilton and foul. So Lakin Wagoner, the senior designated player, down on the count of no balls and 2 strikes. And now Tyra Perry coming to talk with the home plate umpire. So it looks as if they have called her out for stepping on the plate or out of the batter's box, because Gabby Robles now is headed to the left-handed batter's box. So Lakin Wagoner is out on fundamental. She stepped out of the box. And so that's the first out of the top of the fifth inning. Here brings the number 9 hitter, Gabby Robles. She'll lift the foul on the left field line. It is fouled. Making a nice effort to dive for it is Riley Sheehy. Had she caught it, it would have been in foul territory. And as it was, it bounced away from her and rolled out to the wall, where Riley Klosterman, racing over to help out her teammate, picks it up, gets it back into the circle to Allison Ducey. And we're going to do this all over again with an 0-1 count this time. 1 out and a runner on in Kelly Riono. Here's the 0-1 that's now no balls and 2 strikes on Gabby Robles. 219 hitter, the sophomore right fielder. 14 hits and 65 at-bats. She flew out to Riley Sheehy in her first at-bat. Outfield is playing very shallow. Infield is in a step or 2 as well. Here is the 0-2. It's a slap swing and a miss. Oh, it's a foul. So she remains alive in this at-bat. No balls and 2 strikes. When the Hawks come to the plate in the bottom of the fifth inning, Arely Bogar, who doubled in her last at-bat, first at-bat, will be at the plate again. Iowa leads this game 3-1. Hawks score with a run in the bottom of the first and 2 in the bottom of the third. Illinois back with 1 in the top of the fourth. Got a runner on here in the top of the fifth. Here's the 0-2. Here's one that's just a light hop to Grace Baines. Probably could have gotten the force herself at second. Decided to underhand it to Arely Bogar. And the relay was not quick enough to get Gabby Robles at first. So Robles will be on first base with the fielder's choice. And Kelly Riono forced at second for the second out of top of the fifth. Brings up the top of the order, Avery Steiner, hitting specialist for the Fighting Illini. 340 hitter coming in. Here's one that she'll slap foul right at the plate. So she's down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. Steiner, the 11th best hitter in the Big Ten with that 342 average, 48 hits in 40 games started, 40 games played. So 2 hitters for the Fighting Illini in the top 11. Here's one that she bounces right over the top of Allison Ducey. Baines, with some quick footwork, gets the ball just in front of second base and probably 3 or 4 steps in front of second base, and she has to hop back to touch second to force Gabby Robles at second base, and that will end the Fighting Illini here in the Top of the fifth inning. We'll head into the bottom of the fifth inning, and as I'd mentioned, Early Bogar will start it off for the Hawks. When play resumes, it's Iowa 3 and Illinois 1. Around the Big Ten this weekend, outside of Iowa and Illinois, the other series that we really are paying attention to is Indiana at Maryland, because Indiana is tied with the Hawks and the Fighting Illini for fourth place. That's a three-way tie for fourth. Indiana at Maryland. Indiana on a 4-game winning streak. Maryland on a 3-game winning streak. That won't be an easy series for Indiana. Rutgers at Michigan. Michigan has already won the regular season. Minnesota at Penn State. Nebraska is in Evanston to face off against the Northwestern Wildcats. Won't make a huge difference in the Big Ten standings. Northwestern in third place with a 26-14 record. They would almost have to be swept by Nebraska to be moved out of third place. And then it's Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa. Ohio State is in the number 7 spot. They are at Michigan State. So Ohio State with an outside shot at moving into that upper third of the Big Ten. A lot of things have to happen, though, for that to be able to work. Here is the first pitch to Early Bogar. Won the show round the swing and hit it right down the first base line to Kaylee Powell. So one pitch and a ground out for Early Bogar, who had doubled in her last at bat. And it brings up Brodie Klosterman. Brodie 1 for 2 on the day, singled in her very first at bat. Brodie hitting .324 coming into the game today. She now 35 hits, 107 at bats. She has no doubles but 3 triples, and she hit her first 2 home runs back in the Rutgers series. But she's done very well. She was the co-Big Ten player, the freshman of the week a week ago. Here's one that she lifts out to left center field. It's off the wall. This one rolls back into the infield, and it's rolling so far that's going to allow Brodie Klosterman to dive into third base for a triple. She hit that ball very nicely. It was within 3 or 4 feet of going out of the park, out in left center field. But she's on third base with a triple. By the time that ball was picked up by the left fielder for the Fighting Illini, Kelly Riono, she was around second and heading to third and dives into third. There was no play on her. So with 1 out, Brodie Klosterman with a triple brings up Riley Sheehy. Sheehy tripled in her last at-bat and would score. That was an RBI triple that scored Early Bogar, who had doubled in front of that. Here's the first pitch from Sydney Sickles. That's called strike 1. Good for Riley Klosterman. That's her 4th triple of the season. Hawks up 3-1. It brings up Riley Sheehy here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Hawks getting off to a good start here in this series. The 4-game sweep would be just pleasant. Put a lot of pressure on that selection committee to keep the Iowa Hawkeyes out of that NCAA regional. That begins next weekend. Here is the 1-1 that's bounced right to the first baseman, and she went to make the tag on Riley Sheehy and missed her. Home plate umpire right on top of things, and Sheehy now will be at first base. And going to offer a single for that. It doesn't do anything for Brodie Klosterman, who had to remain at third base because the first baseman does a nice job. Kaylee Powell coming down the line to get the ground ball, but Sheehy was already by her. And now Tyra Perry out to talk with the home plate umpire again about the call that he just made. So runners at the corners for the Hawks. Back-to-back hits, one a triple by Brodie Klosterman, and Riley Sheehy now just infield single as she gets past the sweeping tag from Kaylee Powell. Brings up Denali Lecker. Lecker moving up to the number 3 spot in the batting order today, playing the designated player. Here's the first pitch that she takes a swing at and misses. And Riley Sheehy will head down to second base. The throw was cut off. thinking maybe that Brody Klosterman would head towards home from third, and she does not. So no force on a ground ball hit by Denali Lecker, and 2 runners in scoring position. Brody Klosterman at third, Riley Sheehy at second. An 0-1 count on Denali Lecker. Working against the junior, Sydney Sickles. Here's the pitch from Sickles, a pitch that's up and in on her. She takes a swing and misses, so Denali Lecker down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Lecker again, freshman of the week in the Big Ten, the second time that she's had that. She leads this team in batting average, doubles, home runs, and RBIs. Here is the 0-2 that she swings at and misses. And so Denali Lecker now goes to 0-3 for the day, and her first strikeout of the day. And for Sydney Sickles, that is her 4th strikeout of the game. And it brings up Grace Baines with 2 outs. Here is the first pitch to Grace, up and in on her. Runners at second and third. The Hawks leading this game 3-1. Certainly wouldn't hurt to get an insurance run or 2, considering they're out there. We'll see what Grace can do. Grace is 0 for 2 with a fly out and a strikeout. Here is the 1-0 pitch that hits it inside corner, and it's called strike 1. Baines coming into the game, into the series, 196, 22 hits now in 114 at-bats. Has been hitting very well. Hit safely in 8 of the last 11 games. Here's the 1-1 to her. She takes a swing and misses. She's hit safely in 21 games of the 40 that she has played. Has 1 multi-hit game, that all the way back in the Purdue series. In the 12-inning game when she went 2 for 6. A double included. Here is a swing and a miss and a strikeout. So the Hawks are going to leave runners at second and third on the 5th strikeout by Sydney Sickles, but will lead this game heading into the top of the 6th inning by the score of 3-1. When we return, it'll be Kaylee Powell, the number 2 hitter for the Fighting Illini, when play resumes. Okay. Oh, so that would have been the number 9 hitter, so she was out of the box too? Okay. So an official ruling on Illinois' last at-bat, what was an unassisted putout by Grace Baines at short on Gabby Robles. Oh, that was Avery Steiner. It was, Sam, that was Steiner. It was Avery Steiner. Avery Steiner was called out of the box. So that officially ended the inning anyway. That was the 3rd out and not the unassisted put out by Grace Baines. And nevertheless, no harm done. Now we go into the top of the 6th inning. Kaylee Powell is at the plate. Powell, 342 hitter coming into this series, reached on an illegal pitch by Allison Ducey in her first at-bat and grounded out to Early Bogar in her second at-bat. Allison just yielding 3 hits in the game so far. A double that was followed by an RBI single, that back in the top of the 4th inning. Bella Loya doubled, and she was singled in by Jalen Vickery. Here is the first pitch to Kaylee Powell. Powell has had quite a career for the Fighting Illini. Leads the team in batting at 342. Last year in the pandemic-shortened season, only at 161, started 20 of the 22 games played, had 9 hits and 56 at-bats. Here is one that she hits hard right at Early Bogar. Early does a nice job moving to her left, fielding the grounder and throwing to Kalena Burns at first. 1 gone, and it's Bella Loya, who doubled in her last at-bat and scored on the single by Jalen Vickery to give Illinois its only run. Loya, 278 hitter. This is her 4th year as a Fighting Illini. Here's the first pitch to her that's up and in. Has 35 hits, 36 hits and 128 at-bats, 9 doubles, a triple, and 4 home runs. They had in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the 1-0 from Allison Ducey, one that Loy will get around on and foul it back behind the backstop. In the pandemic-shortened season a year ago, she batted .302, was second on the team in hits with 19 in 63 at-bats, had 5 doubles and a couple of home runs. Back in 2019, again, the second leading hitter, .366 with 63 hits, 12 doubles, 12 home runs. Again, back in 2019, here's a pitch that she takes a swing at and miss, and she's down on the count at a ball and 2 strikes. That was a season, one of the 4 that Tyra Perry has led Illinois to more than 30 wins. They had 33 wins in that year and 25 losses. One of those losses was to the University of Iowa. That in game number 3 of that weekend. Allison Ducey picked up the win in that. Here's the 1-2 that's now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, back in 2019. An extra inning game that Ducey went all 8 innings, gave up 8 hits, 3 runs. Two of them were earned, had 7 strikeouts. But Allison pitched in all 3 of those games, having 14 innings pitched. Excuse me, not 14. 14 innings pitched. That was back in 2019. Illinois would win the first 2 games. Iowa would win the third game, that back when they were playing 3-game series, a game each day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here's the 3-2 that is lifted out into left field and far enough for Riley Sheehy to camp underneath and make the catch. And the out, 2 gone, in Illinois' top of the 6th inning. Delaney Rummel will come to the plate, 0 for 2 on the day today. Rummel with a .325 batting average. Sure to drop after being 0 for 2. 40 hits and 125 at-bats, 13 doubles and 4 home runs. Here's Rummel in her first pitch. Rummel, the sophomore. Rummel, a sophomore out of Gilbert's, Illinois. Playing third base. Up in the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch from Allison Ducey. That's down and in. So it's 2-0. Now the home plate umpire walking out and having a simple conversation with her, and I'm not sure what it was. I mean, he made a direct bead line out to her to give her the softball that had been fouled back into the backstop. Rummel now talking with Tyra Perry, and now Renee Gillespie out taking a look at Marissa Peak. Must be looking at her right hand. Maybe it fouled off of her hand somehow or other, but she's going to remain in the game, and all seems to be good. Infield circling around Allison Ducey. Iowa leads this game 3-1, top of the 6th inning. 2-0 count on Delaney Rummel. Here is the pitch from Allison Ducey, and it's one that Rummel will get around on, fisted into the backstop. So 2 balls and 1 strike. Riley Sheehy playing fairly shallow in left field. Klosterman straight up in natural normal depth in center, as is Nia Carter in right. Hamilton is even with the bag and about 2.5 steps in at third, as is Kalena Burns at first. Here is the 2-1 from Allison Ducey, one that's hit out to Nia Carter. She first came in a step, had to go back a step, and on to her left a step to make the catch. Line drive out to Nia Carter, ends the Illini top of the 6th inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Iowa leads this game 3-1. Kalena Burns, the number 5 hitter, followed by Nia Carter and Ashley Hamilton when play resumes. The Big Ten Rowing Championships are going on outside of Indianapolis on Sunday this weekend. Good luck to them in field hockey last weekend. University of Iowa lost to North Carolina in the Final Four. Semifinal, North Carolina went on to beat Michigan in the final. Anthe Niesel, a junior from the Netherlands, made the NCAA Division All-Tournament team, as did senior Ellie Holly. In women's tennis, the freshman Alexa Noel of Summit, New Jersey, is in the NCAA championships next weekend in Orlando. She's an automatic qualifier and is a seeded entrant that will guarantee her All-American status. Alexa Noel played number one singles for the University of Iowa women's tennis team all season long and went 23-0. So good luck to her in the NCAA championship tennis tournament in Orlando next weekend. Also in track and field, as I've been mentioning the results of the heptathlon decathlon, Karina Joyner was the Big Ten Athlete of the Week, Track and Field Athlete of the Week. She won the 100 hurdles at the Wisconsin Big Ten Invite last weekend. She's a Harvard grad, a graduate student here at the University of Iowa, a Harvard graduate of 2020, getting her master's in business analytics here at the U of I, graduating this spring. Congratulations to Karina Joyner. So Kalena Burns now will step into the right-handed batter's box for the Hawks here as we get in the bottom of the sixth inning. Looks at a pitch that's called strike one on the outside corner. Kalena 0 for 2 on the day. Iowa leads this game 3-1. We're in the bottom of the sixth inning. Alice Aducey doing a nice job in the circle again for the Hawks, yielding only 3 hits. Here's the 0-1 that now becomes 1 ball and 1 strike. Kalena hit a line drive right back to Sickles in her last at-bat and struck out in her first at-bat. Has hit safely in 14 of the 28 games that she's played. Here's the 1-1 to her that she'll hit to second base and lightly hit and caught out there by Avery Steiner. That ends Kalena Burns in the bottom of the sixth inning on the fly out. So 1 out, and it brings up Nia Carter. Carter singled to right center field in her last at-bat. Grounded back to Sickles in the circle in her first at-bat. Has hit safely in 23 games. Has a 3-game hitting streak going right now. Here she lays one down. A great bunt by Nia Carter. Going to beat out the throw. Nobody could get to it. Perfectly bunted down the third base line. Sickles couldn't get to it from the circle. Delaney Rummel was too far away to get it, and the catcher couldn't get out of the stands quickly enough, Bellaloya, but it was far enough down the third base line. And that's the second hit in a row, a bunt single by Nia Carter. Gets her on first base with 1 out, and it brings up Ashley Hamilton. Hamilton, the 5'10 senior out of Cedar Rapids, prepping at Kennedy High School. Sacrificed in her last at-bat. Here's one that she'll take a rip at and foul it into the screen of the backstop. She sacrificed Nia onto second base in her last at-bat. Nia was left at second base. Same situation here with 1 out. Head coach Renee Gillespie electing to let Ashley Hamilton hit away. Hamilton with 3 hits in the Nebraska series last weekend. Here's one that she takes a swing at and misses. So she's down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes. 2 of the 3 hits were doubles. One in the first game on Saturday, or one in the game on Saturday because the doubleheader was Sunday. And she had another double in the second game of Sunday's doubleheader. And now the home plate umpire is showing a little bit of displeasure with Sydney Sickles, working a little bit too fast, that he wasn't ready when she made the pitch, so he called it a no pitch. And it's no balls and 2 strikes on Ashley Hamilton. Hamilton hitting at 175. Here's a pitch, a swing, and a miss. So Ashley Hamilton has struck out for the second time in this game. The 6th strikeout for Sydney Sickles. And it brings up Marissa Peak, freshman catcher from Wentzville, Missouri, just outside of St. Louis. Peak has flown out to left field and popped up to the third baseman. And her 2 at-bats here today has Nia Carter at first base, who bunted to get on with 1 out. And still there at this point with 2 outs in this at-bat for the Hawks. Nia has hit safely in 5 of the last 8 games. Now make it 6 of the last 9. Marissa has hit safely in 5 of the last 8 and is 0 for 2 today. She has hit in 19 games of the 33 played, 4 multi-hit games. They're all 2-hit games. The most recent one was back in the Northwestern Series in Game 2. She had a 3 RBI double and an RBI single. Here's Nia Carter swiping second base. Diving into second with a stolen base is Nia Carter. And for Nia, that's the 7th base in 8 attempts that she has taken with her. And she's in scoring position with 2 outs. A ball and 2 strikes on the freshman catcher, Marissa Peak. Here's the 1-2 from Sickles. It's up and away, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Even count on Marissa. Had 2 hits in the Nebraska series last weekend. A single in first game of the doubleheader and a single in the second game. Here's one that she gets around on and she rips it out of the park, but foul on the left field line. Coming into the series, hitting safely in 5 of the last 8 games. Again, on a mild 2-game hitting streak. Coming into this game, hasn't had a hit yet here today. Here's one that she'll foul down the right field line this time and out of play. We'll never forget the home run she hit in the top of the 7th inning in the 3rd game of the Purdue series. Iowa was down 2-0. It made it 2-1, and the Hawks would then score another run from Avery Guy to send the game into extra innings. Iowa would end up losing the game 5-4 in 12 innings, but they extended that game with a home run and the extra run later. Here's a pitch that's down and away from Marissa, and she will strike out. So she the 7th strikeout victim of Sydney Sickles in this game. And Iowa down in the bottom of the 6th inning. They lead it 3-1 heading into the top of the 7th inning. And when play resumes, it'll be the number 5 hitter, Jalen Vickery, for Illinois. 3-1 Iowa. So it updates you now on the baseball game between Iowa and Illinois at Dwayne Banks Field. It's in the top of the 8th inning, and Iowa now is leading that game 2-1. Iowa. Iowa scored 1 in the bottom of the 2nd, has scored 1 in the bottom of the 5th when Illinois scored 1 in the top of the 5th. 2-1 Iowa in Big Ten baseball in the top of the 8th inning. Alice Aducey back in the circle for the Hawks to get into the top of the 7th inning. Allison on the season has 10 complete games. Looking to add to that here today in this game. Her last 4 outings have all been complete games. Here's Jalen Vickery, first pitch to her that's up and away, so it's 1 ball and no strikes. Yep, coming out of that Minnesota series, heading into Rutgers. On that Saturday, first game of the doubleheader, went 5 innings. And a game that Iowa would win 9-1. Here is a pitch that's out to right field, right at Nia Carter, and a line drive. She played it perfectly, didn't really have to move a couple of steps to her left. And Vickery rips it out to right field, but a line drive, it's caught by Nia Carter. That'll bring up Katie Wingerter. 232 hitter, 23 hits, 99 at bats. She is 0 for 2 today with a ground out and a fly out. 1 out in the top of the 7th inning. Here is the first pitch from Alice Aducey, a pitch that's called strike 1. No balls and 1 strike on Katie Wingerter. Here is the 0-1 from Allison Ducey, a pitch that's upstairs, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Wingeter, the number 6 hitter, 232, 23 hits, 99 at bats. Bases are empty. Hawks looking to get this series off to a great start with a big win here in game number 1. Here is the 1-1. That is down and in, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Allison, in her last 4 pitching appearances, has yielded but 8 hits and only 2 runs, both earned. Here is the pitch that's now 3 balls and 1 strike, but has struck out numerous batters. 28 to be exact. Again, as she went over 700 for her career back in the Rutgers series in the no-hitter that she threw. Here's the 3-1 from Ducey to Wingeter. Rips it down the third base line and foul just outside of third base. She got around on that one. Hit it very hard and foul. So that will make the count full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. On the senior, Katie Wingeter, the number 6 hitter in the lineup. Following her will be Kelly Riono. Riono singled in her last at bat. 1 out, full count. Here's the pitch from Allison Ducey. And it's one that's upstairs, and she will walk Katie Wingeter. And for Allison, that's the first walk of the game that she has issued. She's yielded 3 hits and a walk. So it's Kelly Riono. Now we're going to have a pinch runner for Wingeter. And it looks like it's Addie Jarvis, number 19. Going to pinch run for Katie Wingeter in the top of the 7th inning. Head coach Renee Gillespie out in the circles. They're going to talk their strategy. 1 out in Illinois' top of the 7th. So Addie Jarvis is more of a pitcher. She is a pitcher, as a matter of fact. She has no stats as a field player. So I am to assume that this is her first at pinch running. Here's a pitch that Kelly Riono will check swing and a quick snap throw down to first base to try to get Jarvis leaning off. Too far, but she doesn't happen. Jarvis pitched again last year. So apparently head coach Tyra Perry going to give one of her pitchers with good speed a chance in the base paths. 1 ball and no strikes on Kelly Riono. She turns, bunts it in front of her, hit her, and it will be foul. So it'll make it 1 ball and 1 strike. Riono singled in her last at-bat, was forced at second during that half inning. Grounded out to Ashley Hamilton in her first at-bat. Allison Ducey remains in the circle for the Hawks, shooting for her 5th consecutive complete game. Even in the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 out. Here is the pitch to Riono. One that she'll lift up into the infield, and Airily Bogar call everybody off and take it at second base. So 2 outs in Illinois' top of the 7th. Addie Jarvis pinch running for Katie Wingeter at first base. And now Tyra Perry going to bring in a pinch hitter, and it looks like it's the pitcher, Sydney Sickles. No, wrong player there, Jer. Shelby Stauffenberg will pinch hit for Lakin Wagoner. Shelby Stauffenberg. Stauffenberg making her 34th appearance, has 15 hits and 66 at-bats, a couple of doubles. Right-handed hitter, 2 gone. Has a runner in Addie Jarvis at first base. Here's the first pitch to her that's out and away. Iowa fans up on their feet, as the custom is, with 2 outs. Looking for that 3rd out to end the game. 1 ball and no strikes on Stauffenberg. Here is the 1-0 from Allison Ducey. A pitch that Stauffenberg will just nibble down the first base line. Kalena Burns picks it up, steps on first, and Iowa has won game 1 of the 4-game series by the score of 3-1. Allison Ducey goes the complete distance of 7 innings. She yields 3 hits, walks 1. And she strikes out. Well, I've got her for just 1 single strikeout. A lot of ground outs, a lot of pop-ups. For the Hawks, they get 1 in the top of the first as Brody Klosterman started with a single, moved to second on a sacrifice, and got caught in a rundown when Denali Lecker hit a ball to third base. And then on the relay back to third as Brody broke to third, the ball hit her in the helmet, bounced out of play, so she not only was awarded third but home because her intent was on to third base. So that was Iowa's first run at the top of the first. In the bottom of the third, Iowa would get it started with Airly Bogar on a double. Brody Klosterman would ground out to second, moving her to third. Riley Sheehy then would triple, scoring Airly Bogar. And then in the next batter, Denali Lecker would fly out to left field, scoring Riley Sheehy to make it 3-0. Illinois would come back and score in the top of the 4th inning. They would get an RBI or a 1-out single by Bella Loya. She would score then on the single by Jalen Vickery, but that's where it ended for Illinois scoring. Allison Ducey shuts them down. Got some great play, some flyouts to Riley Sheehy, to Nia Carter a couple of times, and to Airly Bogar. Iowa wins it 3-1. Allison Ducey will pick up the win again. She now 11-4. And for Allison, that's 5 wins in a row for her. She went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, a run, it was earned, a couple of walks, a single strikeout, and throwing 81 pitches. Klosterman 2 for 3, Sheehy 2 for 2, Nia Carter 2 for 2, and Airly Bogar 1 for 2. Iowa with 7 hits in the game and 23 at-bats, scoring the 3 runs. No Iowa batter was walked today. For Illinois, the 3 hits scattered among Bella Loya with a hit, Jalen Vickery with a hit, and Kelly Riono with a hit. 3 total hits for Illinois and only 1 run. Sydney Sickles will suffer the loss, goes to 14-6. She went 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, 3 runs, all were earned, no walks, and she struck out 7 in 76 innings pitched. That will do it for game number 1 of the 4-game series. Iowa now goes to 24-17. Illinois will drop to 23-18, so that puts Iowa for sure in 4th place, either by itself or depending on what Indiana does with Maryland here in their first game out on the East Coast. Heading into the doubleheader tomorrow, Iowa and Illinois. Game 1 of the doubleheader will begin at 1 o'clock. I'll be talking to you about 10 minutes before the hour of 1 o'clock. And we'll get things rolling with that doubleheader 1 and approximately 3:30 or 30 minutes after game number 1. I'm Jerry Kowala. Thanks for tuning in here this evening for the 7 o'clock game, the 3-1 win for the Iowa Hawkeyes as they continue in their winning ways. Here in the latter stages of the season, they now have won 8 of their last 9 and are on a 3-game winning streak, winning the last 2 against Nebraska and winning this game 1 against the Fighting Illini. Again, 1 o'clock tomorrow is the start time for the first pitch of game number 1 of the doubleheader. 3-1 the win for the Iowa Hawkeyes over Illinois. We'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon at a little bit before the hour of 1 o'clock.